As we already know, it's not good to play close to the strong groups, but it goes in both ways. It's not good for us if we play close to the strong groups, but it's good for us if opponent will play close to the strong groups. So if we make opponent over-concentrated, basically we should be happy. So to try to make opponent over-concentrated in the opening, what do we play? Normally we try to play some attachments or shoulder hits. Okay, so let's say it's some kind of a rule that many times is like this, but let's have a look on this situation. Yeah, black has a wall. Is it good to play this kind of attachment? Of course it's not good, because like this, white just plays close to the strong group, and white doesn't have any follow-up. Black doesn't need to answer here, because in case black answers, then maybe white can think this exchange can help white, because white gets this extra stone, black plays also close to his strong group, so maybe it would be fine for white. But because white doesn't have this any continuation which white could do there, like to spoil opponent's shape or get some profit like territory, so in this case black doesn't need to answer, and black can just attack the stone, for example this way, like from the outside. So now, because of white not having this possibility to find any move to basically play this nice continuation to get some territory or attack this group, white is just being attacked. Black attacks white, so white just played close to black's strong group. So this is not how we want to play. So this kind of attachment is basically not good. So in what kind of attachments might be interesting? For example, we can have an attachment like this. This is quite common opening. Here we get this black shimari, this popular shape here in this lower right corner, and now white plays this r5. Why playing there now? Like after this move, for black it's not that interesting. Of course it might be possible to play, but it's not that interesting to play any kind of extension, for example like this or even further, because comparing to this situation here, after white's move, black could play just outside and white couldn't get anything. And in this shape, when black plays from outside any of these moves, white is already able to get some profit. For example, white is able to play this s4 move, and it's basically because of this extra stone at r5, so that black probably would need to come back, and now white can play, for example, some jump. So like this, white gets some profit. White got this exchange s4 on r3, so white has there more space to make own group safer, these white stones. So like this, after this exchange, while having also some another possibilities, maybe later it will be also possible to play this s3, maybe later it will be possible also to get some center moves around for attacking, maybe even these black's free stones in the corner. Yes, they look quite safe, but there might be some center in the future. So in this kind of possibilities, it's already much more possible for white to think that this kind of attachment might be like interesting move to play. So yeah, this is like one of the options to play. Maybe black can play a little bit closer and later black can think maybe attacking something and so on. Yes, maybe white could just play like this. Anyway, white will just escape, and here all the time white has this exchange on s4 for r3. But in this kind of situations, when black plays here, white also has some other options. It might be possible, for example, for white to play this exchange. So far it looks like it doesn't make much sense, but now it's possible to find some Tesuji. After this r6, now white does two things. In case black answers, white is already able to cut here this stone. In case black escapes, white will just block. Black will not be alive with these two stones, so white should be very happy. White takes the corner. So in case black cannot leave it just like this, maybe black would answer. But now in this shape, when white has already a stone here at r6, maybe white can think, it's actually good to continue, so that white can get maybe some kind of a wall here. Maybe it will be interesting for white. So this is some other option for white to play in this kind of situation. And as it's not that interesting for black to play like this kind of extensions, to just ignore white, because of white having a possibility to play some direct moves to do there something interesting, maybe black will just protect own shape. So in case black plays, for example, like this, white can extend. In case black fix the shape just by some connection, white can also play some move to try to get some balance on the right side, some extension from these two stones and from this one stone. And this is quite popular opening. And like we can try to analyze it a little bit, what happened. So here in this situation, black has these 3 stones. Yeah, they look quite nice, right? There's territory on the 4th line, so yeah, quite big. Plus also black has these 2 stones here, so they form like some kind of a little bit of wall. So it looks nice for black. But now black has also a stone here at this p3, which is basically not doing much. So without the stone, if black could put this in some other spot, of course it would be much more interesting to play further, because now this stone, when it was here in this spot, is just close to the strong group. So maybe black could think about playing further. Like this, black has here a strong group and has some nice extension, so this weakness is big enough so that it's possible to play there a lot of, to take there a lot of territory, or in case white invades, then to attack white in a nice way. Another option, even more interesting in my opinion for black, would be not to have this stone there at all and focus on the other side while, for example, attacking these 2 stones. So in case black would be able to play, for example, something like this, then it would be even more interesting for black, because like this, black gets here already a nice shape, and now white doesn't have a nice extension, so black can even attack these white's 2 stones. Or even like this, basically it doesn't matter, all the time black will attack these 2 stones. So in this kind of situation, in my opinion, black should focus more on the right side. But it's not possible to change this stone and put in other place, right? So because the stone was already there and black cannot change its position, black can only adjust the other stones to this one. So when white is able to make this kind of exchanges, so that this stone here at p3, for example, in this position, would be not so nice place, then this is a reason of having this kind of attachments interesting moves. This is why these kind of attachments are interesting moves, because, for example, these kind of stones from opponents might be over-concentrated. So in this kind of position, yeah, not possible to get that nice shape. But actually, why we don't see these kind of attachments when black has this 1 line further? Like, why not playing here now? Basically, because black has already the stone further. This is one thing, so that in case black would simply answer, like here in this position, it's also possible to answer, it's also normal move. So now if we compare this move with this move, of course it's better to have this stone here, because it's more territory for black there. Black is not that over concentrated. So for black, if black could choose having the stone at O3 or P3, of course O3 would be better. And if black could choose even like this, it would be even better. But of course white would not like to play this kind of attachment, because of the possibility of having continuations, of possibility to using this black shape in a little bit different way. So that when black has a stone here, white might think, okay, I can play this attachment and maybe I can get this exchange in center so that white will play here and black will answer. But maybe for white it will be also possible to do there something else. Because maybe for white this kind of move will be center. Because in case black doesn't answer, black will play elsewhere. Later white can play, for example, something like this and still try to cut their black. This is some possibility for white. Maybe for white it will be possible to do something in the corner. Maybe at some point it will be possible to play here and later maybe trying to survive there, or yeah, getting some nice shape. Maybe after white will have a stone in this spot, then this corner will look much more interesting, so that maybe later in the future it will be possible for white to play like this, and in case black answers, trying to survive there in the corner. Maybe it will be possible like this for white. We don't know. But when now this shape is a little bit wider from black, then white has these possibilities. When this shape is more compacted, like more all together, it's not that easy to use these other options for white. So in this case, when white thinks that, okay, it will be hard to use any kind of weaknesses in a shape, but all the time there are some possibilities so that if opponent will ignore, I can still get some nice profit, then in these kind of positions, it might be interesting to play attachment. So that in case black would have already a shape like this, now playing here for white makes no sense. Black will just ignore it. But in case black's shape is like this, so white can get some nice center, then maybe black would need to answer here so that white can get this exchange. And like in case white leaves it, of course black would not play here, so it's not that black would anyway play here and white plays close to the strong black's group. White doesn't play close to the strong black's group because now this group is not that strong. After this move, when black answers, okay, this group is stronger, but white just made this exchange. So prior to this exchange, before this exchange, it was not that strong group because black had to answer there. Black didn't have a possibility to attack this like white stone that easily. So comparing to this situation, when black has a really strong group and black is able to ignore it, this is a strong group. But in this kind of situation, black has a group which is secured, but is not that strong to ignore it at any moment. So in this kind of situations, might be quite interesting to play these attachments. And when the shape is larger, like this, it's already not that interesting because there are some other possibilities of using this shape and still getting some nice profit. So, okay, we know already that in some shapes, not possible to get that much other kind of profit for white. So let's say white plays here. And yeah, maybe let's focus on some other variations. So let's check, for example, this situation. Black plays a shoulder hit here, like this. It's quite popular move made by AIs. AIs play this kind of stuff, started to play this kind of stuff, and now also is quite popular in some pro games. So why playing this move? Because white had already a shape which was quite close to each other, like the stone F with F3 with the stone at D4. And because it was like not that far away, white didn't have that many weaknesses. So when white didn't have that many weaknesses, and white will need to adder this move at some point, maybe black can think that it's actually some help for black, because white played actually quite close to his own strong group. In this kind of situation, we can also look on this shape here when we have another kind of wall, and here white has some random two stones, and we can think maybe about this kind of exchange. If white will get a move here and black will get a move here, for whom is it better? Normally we speak that third and fourth line, it's balance, right? So it should be okay for both players to play this kind of exchanges. It's not really like this. Here black already had a very strong group. This group was like no problem, completely alive, and black didn't need to make this group more secured. So after this kind of exchange, that white gets a stone here and black gets a stone here, in my opinion, white should be much more happy, because black already had their territory, and about making this power, like extra power which black could have had while playing on the third line, this power doesn't matter for black. But for white, this extra stone in the center might help a lot. In any potential fight, doesn't matter who will be escaping, whose stones will be where in the center, or maybe even in case white will try to make some moyo. Then at any point, this stone might help for white. And this stone for black, will it help? In my opinion, it's okay. There is some territory for black, maybe 2 points here, but about some real help of this exchange that this black stone will have, it doesn't help that much. For white, it's much more interesting because black was already there quite strong. Yes, it is possible that maybe at some point white would be able to play at this spot. So later, maybe it would be possible for white to get this top left corner. Maybe it would be possible. Just this chance of having this move, a better move, it's really so slow, so small, that I would really recommend to consider this kind of exchange much better for white. Also, in case white plays here, because of black having a strong group, black can also think about attacking the stone. So even if white has another stone here in this spot, all the time it should be possible for black to play these kinds of strange moves, because white will not be able anyway to attack this group on the right side, so black can play much less carefully, basically, in this other spot. Yeah, so this is some, like, let's say, variation, what's possible to think about. So let's move to the other one. In this situation, when black plays this kind of exchange, we get a similar situation, because white, it doesn't look that clear because white didn't have that many stones there, but anyway, we get the situation when white has these two stones which are quite close to each other. So now when white adds another stones, for white this like profit is not that big. Normally for black it should be quite like interesting to have this extra stone there, so later it's possible to just have it, and doesn't matter if black will answer or not answer, this stone might help for black. And in case white would have these stones further, for example, white would have a stone maybe not that close, but a little bit further, now black will not play this kind of exchange, because now white gets help, white gets some strength. This stone which was here at J3, it starts to be much stronger. So later it will be also more difficult to attack it. Maybe in this kind of situation it would be at some point interesting for black to play from this side and attacking the stone. There is a bigger gap, so that black could still play some other possibilities. But in this shape like this, now it's not that easy to find these like other options to use this shape. Okay, so let's move to some other example. This kind of attachment. It also started to be quite popular because of the AI. Yeah, but the plan is basically the same. In case black answers just like this, then what happens? When black will play a move like this, we basically get this exchange that white plays here and black answers. It's also possible to play this kind of exchange. I cannot really speak that white loses something. The only difference for white is that white will not be able to get this stone that easily, so that white chooses basically a direction where white will go. So now white chooses the direction towards the center more than I prefer the right side. So this is like some white's choice that white will get this stone in the center. But basically, like after this move, when white plays this attachment and black answers, it's also like okay, it's possible to play like this. Of course, black can try to complicate. Black can play some Hane move like this 017 or from the other side. Black can try to attack white, and white normally plays this kind of move, or after this white tries to fight. Yes, there are some Fuseki, just they are quite complicated, so it's difficult to explain it like very well, but I would like you to know basically the idea of all these kind of attachments and shoulder hits. So it's to make opponent over concentrated, because anyway it would be quite difficult to find there a nice continuation. So maybe another example here like this. In case black plays in this spot, here this attachment, white playing there? Maybe it would be possible to do something in the corner. The problem in this situation about the corner is that it might be not that easy to play in that corner. Because of white having here all these stones around, we can actually notice that white is quite strong there. So after black will play in this spot, we don't get the normal situation like there would be this kind of call. Because like this, yeah, possible to make their call, so maybe black should be like happy because it's still possible to do there something. It's not like this. Normally when white has these stronger shapes, white will try to kill black. White doesn't want to have any call. White will try to play some other moves so that black will just not be able to make their eyes. In case black plays something like this, white can play, for example, here. After this move here, this black shape doesn't look that promising anymore. Yeah, it's not that easy to create there this life for black. So because of white having all these extra moves around, it's not that easy to survive in that corner. But there is also another option while having this kind of situation. Okay, it's not possible to live there now, but it's still possible to get something out of this shape, because white doesn't have this wall, so that white would have here some nice stones, so that it's not possible to play attachments. It's not like this. White all the time has this shape which has some weaknesses. The problem is that it's not possible to live in the corner directly. This is the problem, but it's still possible to get something from it. So for example, in this shape, when black plays like this, for white all the time it might be not that easy to play some moves to ignore it, because later in the future, black might try to play still some other moves. Of course, black might try to play like this, and after white answers, black can try to make life. Yes, maybe it will work, but it's possible to play even more severe. It's possible even to play like this. This is another option of using this move. So after this move, where can white play? If white cuts, black cuts as well. So now black starts to do their problems. This white shape is being cut. So now maybe it would be already quite interesting for black. So to maybe survive there and doing some problems for white. In case white's answer simply like this, black already gets this exchange sent, and now black is already basically alive in the corner. So this is some other possibility for black. In case white plays here all the time, black is able to connect. So like this, black will be able to do there something. So because of having these weaknesses, even though there is no possibility to live in the corner directly, still it's possible to get something out of it. So black, for example, in this shape might be able to play this kind of attachment. And in case white answers, black basically can already ignore it. In my opinion, it should be an interesting exchange for black. Black gets just one more stone in that area, so maybe later in the future black can play like this. And what if white answers? Black got this exchange, so it should help in any potential fight here in this area. So later, in case black plays like this, white cuts, black can also cut. Because of having this extra stone, this kind of fights should be easier for black. Also, even after this move, even if black will just come back, even after playing this kind of stuff, now we can actually see that this exchange makes something, because there is more interesting weakness in white shape. Without this exchange, in case it would not be here, like this, now it's not really possible to do there much. But after this exchange, when we have it, it might be already possible to do there a little bit more problems for white in this shape. So this is some kind of like argument of like having this attachment, sometimes like good exchanges. So, okay, this kind of stuff maybe will work, but maybe white can play something else. Maybe white can play like this. So later when white answers there, all the time white gets this territory, which is quite big. Here even white will get some end game, like some monkey jump. Okay, it is possible to play there, but now maybe black will also get some another moves like this, so that if white wants to have here territory, maybe white will answer, and black can already get a nice shape from nothing. Basically, black got now a very nice shape from zero. So in this kind of situations, black should be happy. White got nothing more than this what white already had, because it was anyway white's. So now just white only protected his shape, kind of, and black got extra moves, so it's possible to make a nice base. So like this, in my opinion, black should be quite happy. And in case white answers just like this all the time, white only protects this what was already his, and black has this extra stone. This extra stone, again, is some help for black, because it will be easier to do basically anything in this part of the board. So even though it doesn't look like it's a perfect spot, if we are looking on only this exchange, that black has a stone here and white has a stone here, it's a good exchange for black, because black has a possibility to use the stone in basically any way. Okay, so let's check maybe some other variation, maybe like this. Here, all the time, a similar thing. Black is already quite protected, but black's shape is not that strong that it would not be possible for white to use any continuations. So in this case, when black would play something like this, all the time white might be able to play, for example, this move. So later it's possible to play something like this, and maybe later making life in the corner. So this is some possibility. And in case black answers, now white can play even this exchange and later play something else, or maybe just playing something here, so that white gets some of these stones on the top. They are there. White is not going to make there some huge territory, but this is not white's plan. White's plan is so that black will not get there a huge territory, because black has strong shape, so maybe black could do there something interesting. But now, after this kind of exchanges, it's much more difficult for black to do there this nice shape. So white, while only having this kind of a few stones somewhere there on the top, should be already happy. Okay, so maybe let's move to some other situation. Maybe something like this. Here, when white plays in this spot, black will answer, white will play here, and black will play here. So white chooses a side. This is something what is like good to know, from which side to play. Because now white chose this side, which is actually the most popular one from after this Shimari in this position. But it's good to know that after this kind of exchanges, it's more difficult already to play from the other side. Because now it's not that easy for white to play this continuation, so black can just attack. Because now white plays close to the black strong group, and it's difficult to find this continuation. In case white plays here, basically black can already play from outside and try to get a wall, but even if black will only answer. Now white plays here. Okay, black all the time answers, but that's it from what white could get. So white got these two exchanges in center. Okay, this is some profit for white, but white cannot get anything else. So it looks like that we have this stone, this O17, versus this M17. So white played close to this black strong group. White didn't get any exchange, so that white could get there more eyes or some territory and so on. And black just attacks this white stone. And can white attack the corner? Not really, because it's already alive. So the only group which white can attack is this stone which just appeared, but because of black having this strong group, black attacks white. And here these two stones are also not in that interesting spot now. It's like all the time they are attackable by black. So white has, in my opinion, a problem. So normally, in case white would like to think about, maybe at some point it would be good for me to play from this side, because maybe I would like to focus on the stop, then it's not good to play these kind of exchanges because black will get stronger. So when black gets on shape stronger, for white it's much more difficult to focus on the top. Yes, white will get this right side, but there is some flaw for white that it will not be possible to get this top that easily. So in case white would like in the future maybe to get this other side, I would recommend not to play this kind of attachments, and maybe in the future it will be possible, for example, to play this move or even this move. Now, in case black plays here, it might be possible to play something like this or some other moves in center. Like in this case, black will need to play here, so white might be a little bit more interested in escaping. It will be at least easier for white to escape than in the previous variation. Okay, so let's continue with the next situation. Maybe like this. Here, this was quite popular sequence before the AI, that in normal Shimari, when white played this kind of shoulder hit and black answered, now white played from the other side. So after this exchange, when black plays here, white can also play one more time this kind of hane, and black connects. Yeah, maybe you can look on this shape and it's like, what's going on? Black just gets all the corner, black gets so strong territory there, and white has just a few random stones somewhere actually close to black's strong group. Why it would be good for white? Well, it should be good for white. And why? I mean, it's not necessarily like very good for white, it's kind of, let's say, neutral. So for black already had this corner. Black had their 2 stones on the start. This was black's corner. Black had this Shimari, yes, so 2 stones for black. And now white gets some exchange. So black gets this territory here on the 3rd line. Black strengthens his own shape, but black was already quite strong, so the strength is not that important. So black also gets this 2 points territory, okay, but it's not very big. And now in this case, white doesn't continue anything with the stone and white focuses on the other side. So why playing here now? Because anyway, in case black would ignore it and play from the other side, white can all the time get some profit. White can all the time get something here, so black cannot normally block, but black would play like this. So all the time it is some profit for white, that is possible to destroy their some points from this corner. So yeah, this is some possibility for white. So maybe black would answer. So let's say black would answer like this, and now white plays this exchange. But actually, what can we see now? Now we can actually notice that white got this exchange, this stone, for this stone. So this exchange made black play close to the strong group. Black would not need to protect normally here in this kind of shape. Now, if we remove these 2 stones, and now in this situation, in case white would have played like this, black would not answer, because why? Why answering there? This group is already quite strong. In case black would like to play something there, black would either cut and try to attack like this group on the right or this group on the top, or maybe ignore it and play from the other side. Or maybe just play Tenuki, because also why playing there? Maybe it's not necessary to play in this top at all. So like this, it would not be center, but because of having this exchange on the start, it started to be also quite interesting to play the other moves. So when white played this all exchange in a good order, it might be also quite interesting to get a nice result, because after this, black had their 2 stones on the start, all the time black has 2 stones more. White didn't invest any stone, it's just an exchange. So like this, white just gave black this what was his, and white got these 3 stones extra, just for outside. So this is another like way of playing. Normally it used to be quite popular to play like this when black had here this kind of shape. This used to be a very popular move to continue. And then in case black played here, white could focus on the other side and try to make their life. So this used to be quite popular shape. However, I need to tell you that we don't need to answer on these kind of moves every time. For example, when black feels like black has a really strong shape, even though black doesn't have these stones really directly there, but for example, black would have a shape like this. And then white would play a move, simple move here. Okay, black doesn't have these stones like really that secure, that strong, so that white cannot get there really anything. But for black, all the time it might be still possible to play from the other side. Black is not directly connected. Black has no stone here, so that white could not get an interesting profit there after the continuation. Black doesn't have there the stone, but all the time black might be able to play from the other side. Why? Even though white will play here and black will answer, okay, white can get here this possibility of going around black, so that white can get some kind of a profit there. But on the other hand, now when black was already quite strong, and now black plays from this side, white will not have this knight extension. It's not that easy for white to find this nice extension to continue it well, this shape. So that even though locally in this top right corner, white could consider maybe having this shape as okay, overall it might be not that easy. So even though white did get something, now when black was already quite strong from on the other side or with own shape, it's all the time quite interesting to play from the other side, and it doesn't matter which move. Doesn't matter if it will be here, or even further. Black can choose basically anything. In case black considers that it's possible just to ignore it, maybe it's just not that big, it's possible to play there. And later after this move, even if black will answer simply here, even though this shape doesn't look that good for black, all the time it's possible to play there. In case white doesn't have a base, and black is here strong, and for white it's not that easy to escape or make a base, then it should be still good for black now. So this is another possibility, and it also doesn't really matter exactly about this shape. It's also possible to find in some other shapes. Basically all the time, if somebody is just too strong and is able to do there some problems like cut and so on. For example, when you have also a shape like this, and now white plays here and black doesn't want to play, for example, like this, black feels like black has a lot of power, black would like to fight, then of course black can play some other moves. Black can, for example, play like this or like this, like this, anything, and then just wondering how to attack this white stone. Because in case black answers, white just will play this exchange, and later probably white will ignore it. White will play tenuki. White will think that this exchange is already good enough for him. So in case black doesn't want to let white having center, and maybe black can think that actually in black's opinion white made a mistake that white played here, because this move is just too slow, so that black feels like it's not comfortable for me to just answer. Why I would answer? I can actually choose to play something more interesting, so that maybe it would be possible to fight. So in case black will play like this, and later black will try to attack this stone, maybe black can get bigger profit or even further. And like this, then in case white cannot do here anything on the bottom, and white will just die, black gets a lot. Because black gets here this extra stone on this k4, and also black will get this stone killed in case white doesn't live there. So in some cases it might be not that easy to play this kind of shoulder hits, like moves to make opponent over concentrated, because opponent, for example, will not let do this. There is also some possibility for opponent to ignore it. So normally, if we are looking on this kind of shapes, basically simple attachments are usually a little bit more severe. That in case of having some attachment, normally there is a little bit more interesting continuation, because it takes away a liberty from opponent. So now there is more choice for white. White is able to play the same move, which white would have played earlier. Okay, it's possible to extend, but it's also possible to play, for example, this move, or possible to play this move, or even possible to play this move. There are more options for white. So in case white thinks maybe opponent will ignore and play somewhere else, when we are wondering about what to play, maybe shoulder hit or attachment, many times it might be a little bit more interesting to play this attachment in this way, that it will be less likely for opponent to ignore it. More difficult, simply because white can get a little bit more profit in this next move, in this continuation. Anyway, it's your game, so you decide where you will play. I can give you just some tips what in my opinion are good to follow, but anyway, you will choose. You will be this leader who will play. You have this control, so yeah, you choose which move in your opinion is more interesting. You will also know which shape exactly it is, because of course there are many positions which we could review, so it's not possible simply to review everything. So you will need to adjust your moves so that it will be comfortable for you to play in your game. So because of this, I would just recommend you to consider a few options, a few variations, like for example this kind of shoulder hits or attachments, and later you will decide what you feel better. So thank you for your attention, and see you on the next video.